Hey, so in this video, I want to share with you how I overcame my fear of public speaking to be an in-demand speaker, to speak with companies and corporations all around the world, to train thousands of people in public speaking in presentations, and to be on the $1 Million Speaker Roundtable. Hi, my name's Colin Boyd. I help experts and coaches sell from virtual and live stages. I've coached thousands of people around the world. I've advised some of the biggest names in this industry and done millions of dollars selling from stages. But at the heart of this, it's about helping you go to your full potential. And that's what this video is about. I don't know about you, but public speaking, when I first got pushed into that realm, was at school. In fact, it's originally started when I was in year 7. I am in a boys' high school. I've got high socks on, sitting at my little brown desk, right, with writing all over it, as they were back in the day. And it was coming along, and I was actually sitting in scripture class. And I remember I had to read and kind of present a few passages from the Bible. And we're going along, and every kid's reading, and it got up to me, and I remember I started to read and I guess speak out loud to the audience. And I completely freaked out. I remember it like it was yesterday, like my stomach just started churning. My whole eyesight, I don't know if you've ever had that happen before, like the whole eyesight just like shrunk, and my whole world just shrunk down, and I literally couldn't read. Like I'm stuttering over words. It was only a short passage that I had to read. And I remember finishing that paragraph, and then it went on to the next kid, and I walked out of that classroom, and I literally felt like an idiot. Like what I told myself was, I can't even read. Like, who can't read, right? I was in year 7. And from that moment on, I actually created a belief from that visceral experience of having, this confronting, speaking in public. I was reading essentially, but like kind of speaking. I created this experience or this emotion and belief in my life that I was an idiot. I literally created a belief that I was an idiot. Now, hopefully you're not watching this video thinking, this guy is an idiot, right? We'll get onto that soon. But when it came down to it, was that belief ended up framing how I lived my life, how I led my life, and in fact, it impacted how I used to speak and do presentations, because as it went on, at high school, at university, I'd have to speak. I remember standing in front of youth group actually at the time, and I had my notes and my microphone, and my microphone and notes were shaking so much, I had to put down my notes and hang on to the microphone with 2 hands. Like for grim death, I'm just like hanging on to it to like try to survive, right? At that level, I was shaking. Now, I don't know if you've ever had an experience like that before, but I've had many. And that's ultimately led me to get obsessed of like, how do I feel more comfortable speaking in public? To the point now where I've stood on stages, spoken with thousands of people, spoken to executives, spoken to thousands of entrepreneurial audiences. In fact, I coach some of the biggest names in the world to speak and sell on their big stages. How did it come to that? Well, let me share with you 3 ideas that really changed my life. So the first thing that made one of the biggest differences was humanizing the audience. So one of the big mistakes that we make when we come to do any presentation, whether it's a webinar, it could be a virtual event, it could be a live presentation. One of the biggest mistakes we make is we don't see the audience as humans just like us. And when I say humans, specifically, I mean with fears, with uncertainties, with desires. I know for me, every single time I run a webinar or a virtual event or a live presentation, sometimes I will literally look at the webinar registration. Maybe there's like 900 or 2,000, sometimes 4,000 or 5,000 people registered for this one event. And in my mind, I will go, oh my gosh, there's like 5,000 eyeballs about to look at me. But as soon as I go, I want to think about the individual. I want to think about that mum who's watching me. She's starting her business. She's, struggling to find what her offer is, to find her voice. She knows she's got some great skills. She wants to bring some more income to her family and really grow her business. She has a desire to really show what's possible for her kids. And I think about that audience member. And as soon as I do that, as soon as I think about that person, all of a sudden all the fears dissipate. They actually dissolve. Because now I'm not speaking to a sea of eyes looking at me. I'm speaking to one individual who has challenges, problems, difficulties, just like me, just like you. Is this making sense? And so when you come into your next presentation, take a minute, take many minutes, in fact, you'll have many moments along the journey, and think about the challenges, the difficulties, the problems that your audience is actually facing. Like, visualize the experience they're going through. As soon as you humanize the audience, your fears, your concerns will actually start to dissolve and dissipate. So that's the first big idea that will help you to feel a lot more confident whenever you speak in public. The second big idea is to rehearse powerful mantras. See, what happens is the reason why we feel fear in our body, visceral experience of when I was like shaking on stage, the reason why that is actually because of the self-talk that goes on in our mind. From a psychological perspective, what we tell ourselves affects how we feel. Almost instantly, there's a chemical reaction. As soon as we have a thought, that generates an emotion, and from that emotion, we have a visceral reaction, a visceral response. And so if you want to change how you feel viscerally, you need to change how you think mentally. And so when it comes down to it, having some really powerful mantras have helped me over the years. If you remember the first story that I shared, what was my old mantra? My old mantra was, I'm an idiot. Now, how well do you think that is going to set me up to be a great communicator, a great presenter? Not very well, right? So if I'm coming into my presentation thinking, I'm an idiot, why would people want to listen to me? Like, am I even credible to share? Now, I know that no one has ever thought that, like listening to this video. I know you've never thought that, right? Like you've never thought, oh, what if I'm not good enough? What if I'm not like credible enough? Like we've all thought that, right? Now, why do we think that? We think that because our brain is designed to keep us safe. And those thoughts actually stop us from stepping out of our comfort zone, which represents the stage, which represents a webinar, which represents something where we're speaking to people. And so having powerful, positive mantras coming into your presentation is really, really powerful. I'll give an example. One for me is that I'm a transformational coach. I'm a world-class speaker. When I speak, people listen. I am here to serve and contribute into people's lives. Like, I'll literally tell myself that. So in other words, I stop listening to myself and start speaking to myself. And when you do that, not only do you lead yourself, but you lead your audience. And to be a speaker, you have to actually be a leader, and it starts with leading yourself, and ultimately you'll lead your audience. So that second big idea is have powerful, positive mantras. The third secret to feeling more confident speaking on stages is to practice until it's in your body. In other words, you have to get your presentation out of your head and into your body. It's kind of like turning on a light. Imagine we have a lamp right now. I'm looking, you can't see it, but there's this huge lamp right here. And if that lamp wasn't connected to the wall, it couldn't turn on. And that's what happens with your brain to your mouth. So what happens is if you don't connect it in and actually get the electricity running through it, you'll get up. And I laugh because this has happened to me many times, and maybe it's happened to you, is you get up and in your head, you had the idea, and as soon as you start to speak it out, it doesn't come out anything like you had it in your head. Have you ever experienced that before? If you've experienced that before, it's simply because you haven't drawn the mental ideas into your physicality. You haven't put the ideas into your body. And so you have to practice it. For me, I practice my presentations, my webinars, whenever I'm presenting, 3 to 10 times minimally out loud. Not in your head, out loud. You've got to plug that wall into the socket, get the electricity running through it. As soon as you do that, it's going to feel more comfortable and you're going to present more confidently. So we've covered 3 ideas to help you to become more confident speaking today. So the first one was you have to humanize the audience, right? Make them humans. The second one was you have to rehearse powerful mantras. And the third one was you have to get it in your body. You have to get your thoughts into your body and practice it so that it becomes a part of you. Hey, if this has been helpful, why don't you leave a comment below? Out of those 3 ideas, what's been most helpful, and maybe even what's one of the hardest parts for you about presenting on a stage or even on a virtual stage? What comes up for you? What are your fears? I'd love to know down below, what's the hardest part for you about presenting on a stage? And if you found this helpful, please subscribe, click the notification button so that you know every single time we load up a video, and we'll see you on the next one.